Bill Self always has a very respectable program, and wow, I'm going to go with hair weave on that, Lubie. I don't know that it's a piece per se. We played piece or no piece, which is trying to figure out if the guy's wearing a hair piece or not. Now, I was at a bar yesterday after I played tennis with my son in the morning. Wow, I mean, the people of Pompano Beach, whoever is selling the hair pieces here, is really just robbing people blind or assuming that they are blind because why not just stick a muskrat or a dead squirrel on your head? What is the point of wearing something that looks so stupid, so obvious?
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest and one Mike Lubitz. The Defo Show will take you up until 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. And going to get very busy with a lot of different things. Brett Tesser, the agent of the Stars, will join us. And very curious, Lubie and I were discussing this just before we came on the air. All of these draft pick swaps now, all of a sudden. You saw where players were being traded for draft picks. That's not uncommon. And it did seem like in some of these trades that draft picks have become a much less valuable commodity to teams that obviously are bordering on desperation or they wouldn't be making these blockbuster deals. And I don't know, were the Dolphins desperate when they got Tyreek Hill? No, they were not desperate. They seemed to be reorganizing in somewhat of an intelligent fashion under Mike McDaniel, and then they go ahead, and after all of these last 3 seasons of talking about, we're going to have all the draft capital in the world, and they accumulate all of this draft capital, and they unload it all at once for one player who's a hamstring away from being out for the season. No, that's the unfortunate, negative of those kind of transactions. But it seemed like, yeah, draft picks. What do you want? 5 first-round picks? No problem. Yeah, you got them. Remember, it was like, oh, no, you're not touching our first-round pick. Yeah, we're picking 31st in the first round. We're going to grab some guy who's going to change the franchise fortunes forever.
Yep.
That used to be the common wisdom, was it not, Lubie? But this trade yesterday, I mean, what was it? The Saints were involved in it? Who was involved in this thing? Eagles?
Saints and Eagles, and both have tons of picks, and have now moved them around. I didn't really understand it. There was no players involved, so it sort of confused me.
But it was a massive number of picks. I mean, just like
both ways.
What did the 2 GMs have nothing to do? Were they playing strip poker? And they said, well, the stakes, I really don't want to see you naked. So why don't we put like 7 draft picks each on the table here? And whoever wins this hand gets the other guy's, picks. That would have been great. But anyway, it's kind of strange. So a lot of different things going on in the NFL. Brett Tesser, the agent of the Stars, is going to join us later on the program. And that's always a lot of fun. And then Harvey Fialkov was all over this Miami Open. Turned out to be a sensational tennis tournament. And once again, I don't know. I don't feel the same reluctance that we had maybe in previous platforms that we've held to talk about tennis, because it was very, very exciting. This Jose Alcaraz was absolutely fantastic. 18 years old, Lubie. He's supposed to be like the second coming from Spain of Nadal.
Oh, wow.
A very different game than Rafa. I mean, Rafa obviously being a left-hander with tremendous topspin and just a genius on the clay. I mean, he owns the clay like some sculptor, this guy. And I'm not sure what Alcaraz's status is. I would imagine he's just as efficient on clay courts, having grown up probably like Rafa did, playing on the red clay there in Barcelona or wherever he's from. And yet, I'm a very exciting player. The guy had in one of his matches, I think it was in the quarterfinals, he was playing just an absolute dogfight. And he had like 50-something winners and 35 unforced errors, meaning that Lubie, he is going for it in very finite doses. I mean, he is trying to hit lines and corners and knocking the crap out of the ball. And then, of course, my favorite weapon when I was growing up, we played a game called Chinese Handball. I guess it would be called Asian Handball now. I don't know.
I don't know
how to describe it, but you guys that grew up in like inner city areas around New York City, I think this game was pretty much exclusive to New York, because if you talk to anybody else about it, they have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And it was called Chinese Handball. And what happened was you had an ace, king, queen, and however many other players were playing were lined up in kind of a pecking order going from left to right on the radio dial. All right. So the number one guy, whoever was like in front at the time, was in the box on the left side, and he was the ace at that particular point. And you would hit the ball. It had to bounce once before it hit the wall, and then bounce once. It didn't have to bounce, but you had to hit it by the time it bounced once. If it bounced twice, you were a loser, much like in other sports like tennis and, ping pong or whatever you're playing that has like a paddle involved. But you hit it with your hand. And then you could keep the ball in your box for as long as you wanted. You could just be hitting it to yourself, hitting it to yourself, hitting it to yourself. Then all of a sudden, boom, you'd whack one, maybe 2 boxes over to try and knock the guy out. And if you, lost a point, you had to go to the back then and work your way back up to the top. Does that make some sense, Lubie? It's kind of hard to describe everything about it. And the ultimate result of the game was a thing called A's Up, which stood for asses up. So the loser of the game, whoever finished last, would have to go against the wall and kneel down and then put your head down, and guys would throw the ball at you and aim it straight at your ass. That was the consequence of losing the game. A's Up. You never had A's Up anywhere you were?
Someone pegging my ass. They're not pegging.
Sadomasochistic, but nonetheless, and if your friend was in a position, you would lob one off the wall there, and everybody knew that you weren't trying to hit the guy. And then if it was a guy that you personally had some distaste for, whoosh, right there up the crack. I mean, with a Spalding though, so it wasn't like you were throwing a hard ball at the guy or a rock or something. But still, it was uncomfortable. It was humiliating. I mean, it obviously pointed out and emphasized the fact that you're a loser. You're kneeling against a wall there as if a bomb was going off, and then boom, guys are throwing Spaldings at your rear end and trying to make sure that they tattoo a red spot on there that's still evident later on in the afternoon. Like the guy would go, "Hey, you see that? You made that black and blue mark there. You little prick you." You go Joe Pesci, a little prick you.
Little prick,
Anyway, there was a shot in this game that was devastating, and it was called the Atomic Baby, Lubie. So you thought there was no point to the story, which I did do a little rambling yesterday, and you're thinking, okay, the guy's on the same drugs today. What the hell?
Last night.
All right, now the Atomic Baby was a sliced shot that kind of was like a rollout in racquetball, but it just died right there on the wall. And there were guys that were very adept at hitting it. I happen to have a pretty effective Atomic Baby. Now, you couldn't use it all the time, because people would catch wise to it, and then all of a sudden they were like pinned to the wall. So they were ready for the Atomic Baby, and then they would whack it right back, and next thing you know, the ball's exploding in your face. And you're out, you're down the end, and the next thing you're subjected to asses up. And you're thinking, why was I playing all these Atomic Babies? But the equivalent of the Atomic Baby in tennis is the drop shot. Are you a fan of the drop shot, Lubie? I don't know if you played a lot of tennis in your lifetime, but
it's
the drop shot right over the net, and then sometimes if you really have a great one and the wind is playing right, the drop shot will go right over the net and then drop back onto your side of the net.
Yeah, you're done.
So virtually impossible for the opponent to get a racket on the ball and score a point. And this guy Alcaraz, who hits the ball a ton, I mean, he's hitting howitzers, both sides, forehand, boom. I mean, cracking it at like 100 plus miles an hour on a ground stroke, and backhand the same thing. And then he is the biggest proponent of using the Atomic Baby, a.k.a. the drop shot. And he had a phenomenal winning percentage with this drop shot, right? Because you're thinking, wow, where am I going to go along the baseline here to field this guy's next missile that he's sending at me? And next thing you know, he gives it one of these. Whoosh, the drop shot, just like the Atomic Baby in Chinese handball. You check this out, Lubie. Look up Chinese handball. I don't know if you could find anything on it. If you Google Chinese handball, it probably comes up with just question marks. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Some kind of porn.
But I love that because I'm an advocate of the drop shot. In fact, it annoys people that I use so many drop shots playing tennis. Yeah, it's a big annoyance for a lot of people. Now, you have to be able to handle it. My son, he just comes up and knocks the crap out of the ball, and the next thing you know, you're thinking, well, why am I playing this stupid drop shot? But in a big-time tennis tournament, and especially the drop shot is far more effective, or it would seem to be, on hard courts, or maybe I'm not sure how much use it gets on the grass courts of Wimbledon, but you would think it would be an effective shot on grass because grass, by its very nature, you would think would be the most deadening of the three surfaces that tennis is played on. Would you agree with that? Actually, you could consider it.
Anything but hard court.
Oh, okay.
The clay seems like a pain in the ass. I've always wondered how you play on clay. That seems like
Clay's way better. It's like running on pillows, my friend.
Really? I have to try it.
Yes. I mean, when you're an old codger like me and you have 71-year-old knees that you've been playing on asphalt your entire life, whether it was basketball, punch ball, stick ball, whatever we did, football in the streets, you were very, very happy. It's almost like having a masseuse on hand. The courts are just very forgiving in terms of the wear and tear on your body. That would be the main reason why everybody plays on the clay. Now, it's also a different surface and a slightly different game. Clay slows the ball down a little bit so you can get to more balls. So, it's especially good, like I said, for geezers at Caesars. I like the games that I'm involved in where, I want to get into a 70 and over league. You imagine qualifying for that? How pathetic is that? Where did my life go, Lubie?
It probably exists. I mean, why not? You might as well
70 and over. No, there's some good players, that's 70 plus. I mean, guys that really know how to play.
A different world.
I would get destroyed. I really would.
Get destroyed.
No, you have to figure a guy that's 70 plus that's going to enter a league probably has the real tennis form, which I will never have. And, that makes all the difference in the world because a guy with good form is going to beat the snot out of some guy that's just a recreational player like I am. But the drop shot, among my favorites, it annoys the crap out of everybody that you use it against. And here's this Jose Alcaraz. And a young kid, 18, and I believe, now I don't know how he fared in the final. I know he won in straight sets over this guy named Ruud, I believe is how you pronounce it, from Norway. How do you play tennis in Norway? What, on snowshoes? Norway, imagine a guy from Norway. And he's not,
all the time.
Cameron Ruud, I believe is the guy's first name, Cameron Ruud. And he made the finals at Miami, and he was ranked number 7 in the world. Think about this, Lubie. Now, I follow the sport. I never heard of the guy. Okay. Have you? Cameron Ruud.
No, I've never heard that name.
How do you just drop in at number 7 in the world, like without any kind of evolution up from like number 200 or whatever it was?
He obviously didn't.
He just dropped in there. I'm telling you, I never heard of the guy. I never seen him before.
Harvey must have heard of him. We'll have to ask Harvey. I'm actually curious now.
He played well. I mean, look, obviously he played well to make the final. I mean, it's a very, very competitive tournament. So Harvey will discuss all this with us. And Harvey, I believe he also is an advocate of the atomic baby, and he probably played some Chinese handball because he's a little younger than I am, but he may have grown up exclusively on Long Island, which I don't believe featured that game because you needed a lot of buildings that you could put graffiti on and draw boxes and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And so you needed like a perfect place to play this Chinese handball. And I don't know. It wasn't really a Long Island game. I think it was pretty exclusive. Maybe to the 5 boroughs, Queens, they must have played some Chinese handball. I think probably. The Polyman's familiar with the game.
Yeah, probably.
But check it out, the atomic baby. See if there's any Googling of the atomic baby and if they describe that shot. That's exactly what this guy Alcaraz is doing. So we'll talk about that with Harvey Fialkov. That's coming up later on in the program as well. And then this is great. I think he's going to also work out a way. Hopefully Harvey will appear this time because he said he was so disheveled and verklempt last week that he didn't want to have anybody see what he looked like. I'm like, Harvey, it's not like we look like George Clooney on here,
huh? We're not TV ready, man. We just do it. We're here.
What's wrong with your hair, Deforrest? Well, you, Lubie, I mean, have taken all kinds of flack for this bizarre silhouette that you're appearing out of here because it's not like you decorated the background appropriately with like sporting memorabilia or whatever. I mean, and this is, these are among the few things that I ever saved. Boy, I really missed out on that, huh? I could have taken all my stuff that I saved over the years to some collectible shop, cleaned up, and, then I could have gone ahead and actually gone through with the retirement. But I never saved anything or bugged anybody for autographs. It just wasn't really my thing.
I have a ton of stuff, actually. Because I had a studio that was decorated. I need a studio. So when I have a studio, you'll see the whole thing. I have bobbleheads, and I have the thing Jers gave me, and I have a helmet, and I have different Hooters things we got through the years. I saved everything, actually. I just don't have somewhere to put it. I mean, you can have
I have a bobblehead right here.
I'm sure you do.
No, I can give you one. And this is my favorite of all time.
I like 30 bobbleheads.
The Pirate, Lafitte Pink Eye. and it's a good replica of the Pirate. I mean, he actually looks a little bit like the bobblehead, unlike that Dan Marino bobblehead that you had at the radio station, which they made Marino look like a black guy.
He's African.
I know they were trying to satisfy the whole diversity thing there with the Miami Dolphins. Oh, yeah, we had a black quarterback here, Marino. It's like, what do you mean? Marino's not a black quarterback. It was almost like listening to a press conference from the Trump administration. Oh, what do you mean?
He's African.
What do you mean? Marino's not a black quarterback. It was almost like listening to a press conference from the Trump administration. Oh, what do you mean? Marino's not a black quarterback. It was almost like listening to a press conference from the Trump administration. What money is missing? That was great, man. Kaylee McEnany, that was the last one, right? When they started out with Sean Spicer and then,
Your favorite.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, man,
The-
was she brilliant. She
best.
definitely should be the PR person for the Miami Dolphins or any football team where they have something to hide.
Yeah, the
She would have been
Commanders.
perfect.
Huckabee Sanders come out.
Huckabee Sanders, comes out and goes, well, what are you talking about? Hey, listen, Lou, your paper's about to go under, so why should I answer your question here? You won't even have a publication tomorrow. You're never going to have another byline again. Huh? What do you say about that? The guy would be like, well, I'm sorry, I'll retract the question there. I didn't mean to ask if Donald Trump really meant to say you should gargle with Clorox if you want to get rid of the coronavirus.
Sorry. I mean, I saw it. My bad.
It was so insane. It was, what there was a show on that I really like on Showtime, Lubie, political show called The Circus. Have you seen this thing? I think they do a great job. I really do. Now, it's definitely more liberally, oriented than, say, some conservative might expect to probably throw up at the sight of this thing. But I think they really do a great job. Maybe I just like it because they sort of express opinions that they're balanced, But I mean, people would say, "Wait a minute, what are you talking about here?" They hate Donald Trump. Which is he going to surface again? I mean,
I don't think so.
what would you have given? You would have given Trump more of a chance to be elected president in the next go round than you would Tiger Woods to win the Masters.
Oh, probably.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, to win the Masters, yes, because I still don't know if he's playing. He hasn't played a tournament in 2 years, like played at all.
I believe he will play. This is my belief at this point. I would be surprised if he dropped out.
He's just futzing. He's done the walk and he's this and that. Like for Tiger to be around it and then not play would be really weird. Like
he played 9 holes yesterday, and this was like the biggest thing going, right? You would have thought that Ben Hogan came back from the grave and went around Augusta National, and I don't know that would have gotten the same attention as Tiger Woods coming back from this leg injury. But he played 9 holes, and he played it with my man, Freddie Couples, man. I love Fred Couples. You could not help but love Freddie Couples. I met him one time. I think it might be a place called Docks. No, it starts with an S. This oyster bar in like West Palm Beach. Spoda or something like that. Spodos. Does that ring a bell with you? Spodos?
No clue.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Mayo, the gambling gourmet. He would know. Anyway, it was a common hangout like after these tournaments in West Palm Beach, whenever there was a tournament taking place there. And for whatever reason, I was covering this thing. And so everybody said, yeah, you got to go to Spodos or whatever this was, this one particular place. And I think it's where Jersey Kyle might have had his first date with Tequesta Kathy.
Oh, wow.
They met there. Yeah. So it holds a special place in his heart that I guess he would like to carve out right now. No, he had a good time with this girl, and it didn't work out. That's the way it goes. But nonetheless, so the spot sticks out for me for a couple of reasons because I go in there, and who's sitting at a table but Freddie Couples?
Oh, wow.
Right? So, I ask him, very... you know me, I'm not really one to like ball my way over to the guy and go, "Hey, Freddie, I want to answer a couple of questions."
No, you're not a jock sniffer or anything like that. You do.
No, but I did, I told him how much, I like the guy because I do remember, and I've told this story many times. I'm doing a tournament at Doral, and we were like whatever the flagship was of the Doral. I think it was the Doral Ryder Open back then, or Doral. It might have still been the Eastern Open. I don't even know. Eastern Airlines, remember them? But whatever it was, I'm out there at Doral, and I'm in the kind of clubhouse after the tournament, and we're supposedly guaranteed to get an interview with the winner of the tournament. All right? So the tournament boils down to the last hole, the Blue Monster 18 on the blue course there at Doral, a monstrous hole with water on the left. And if you try to play it safe, there's a pretty good chance, Lubie, you're going to be stuck. And I don't know how this happens in golf. But there's like one obstacle that you want to dodge, and somehow you're always stuck behind it. Like every ball is behind this same tree. How is that possible? There's one tree on the right side. One tree.
I hate that.
These are pros. These are the best players in the world. They hit the ball whoosh, straight down the middle. Whoosh, straight down the middle. Oh, you want a little bend in this one? Let's go left to right. Whoosh.
Yep.
And it goes out there perfect, like elliptical motion. And lands exactly where they want it to. But somehow they all end up under his tree because they're afraid to go left and go in the water. And you do have to send it out there a little bit if you want to have any shot at this green, which is also just laced with treachery, Louis. The Blue Monster. It's supposed to be one of the toughest finishing holes. It doesn't look it from the tee necessarily, right? Me, I'm talking, right? Like, I mean, my ball would go straight. Dead center lake is how we used to describe the shot. Dead center lake, right? You watch that thing plop in there, and it was right in the middle, right there by the Buick that they were giving away, right? That was on the little platform, and you're thinking, how did they get that car out there in the middle of the lake? You ever wonder about that? I guess they dropped it in. Anyway, so tournament comes down to the final hole. Raymond Floyd, the great Raymond Floyd, legendary Raymond Floyd, and Freddie Couples. They're like in a dead heat coming to 18, and they're playing together, right? So Floyd hits his ball, and it's in the middle of the fairway, and Couples gets up there, and guess what, Lubie? Right under that tree. Right under that tree. All right, so short of having like a chainsaw in his bag, there's no way around it. He has to like tap out there, and next thing you know, he's looking at bogey. Floyd ends up winning the tournament by one shot. All right. The reason I'm giving you all of this detail is because you would figure Floyd would be euphoric, and Freddie Couples would have been crushed. Just lost to Raul, big prestige tournament, fat paycheck, and he lost it in just an ugly fashion on the final hole, where the other guy kind of played it safe, and Freddie went for it, and rarely, was spraying the ball at any time during the tournament. All of a sudden, he's under a tree. Bogey, loses the tournament. Raymond Floyd had something about sports talk radio, and this was in the early days of sports talk radio. You didn't have a whole lot of sports talk that was on 24 hours a day, and it wasn't really like it had become the offensive unfortunate, alienating element that it did for some athletes who, didn't like hearing over and over again that they suck. So anyway, Floyd walks right by me, and he's obligated supposedly by contractual obligation to stop in and do a little spot on the radio. What did he have to do? Would he say, well, you know what? I was very fortunate today. The wind was blowing my way.
I mean, come on.
What does it take, really? What am I going to do? Am I going to grill Raymond Floyd on some criminal activity where he was maybe hiding Nazis in Brazil? No, I don't know. I don't know anything about this guy except that he was like a very good golfer, and he seemed to be a real gentleman, didn't he? Raymond Floyd.
Oh, yeah, from what you saw on TV. I mean, I never talked to anyone who knew him. I always
blows me off. Absolutely blows me off. Looks at me with a dirty look, like that same look that Bob Greasy had when he walked by. Oh, you weren't there that day.
I wasn't there. I've heard the story many times, yes. I was not there.
Greasy was a little strange anyway. So he just blows right by me, and there's like a publicity guy for the PGA, and he's waving it off. Don't even ask him, right? You would have thought that we asked Colin Montgomery to sit down and do a radio spot with us when everybody in America hated the fat man.
Monty, yeah, everyone knows.
Monty, right? And he was easy. I mean, it was so easy to get under his skin. Hey, Monty, you suck. And the next thing you know, he's firing a 9-iron at your head like he was Steve Williams trying to protect Tiger Woods. So now Freddie Couples, here's a guy who should have been like totally depressed. No, he just got crushed like a grape on the last hole of Doral, finished second, half the money. He probably hates Raymond Floyd like everybody else did, except for Don Shula and maybe, a couple of the announcers who worshiped Floyd. And maybe Floyd isn't, deserving of this kind of criticism from me because he blew me off for an interview. I'm sure he's a fine man, right, Libby? He just didn't want to do the radio interview. That's fine. Right? I'm long over that. But Couples, I say, hey, Freddie, would you mind, sitting down for a second here and talking about the tournament? Yeah, no problem. Sits down with me for like 15, 20 minutes and couldn't have been any more gracious. So I come up to him at this Spoto's place or whatever it was called. And I say, hey, Freddie, I just wanted to thank you, for giving me that interview that time when you lost to Raul. And he said, yeah, I remember you. Why don't you sit down? He buys me a drink.
Oh, shit.
That's the kind of guy that you could be rooting for, right?
Yeah,
very credible individual. And who was he playing with yesterday? El Tigre.
Oh.
Right? So he's in the threesome there. Now, 35,000 people, Lubie, showed up to watch a practice round. Do you think that CBS is drooling over the possibility? Now, the Masters is going to draw attention no matter what. But if they have a bunch of nondescript European stiffs atop the leaderboard, what's happening? Jim Nance is sitting there with a gun to his head going, here's Wiesthazen. Like, Wiesthazen? Wiesthazen? Are you kidding me? Holy Roger Maltby, what the hell are we looking at here? Tiger's out there playing a 9-hole practice round. You don't even know if he's serious, right? He might be dropping a couple of mulligans.
You have no idea. Tiger.
And 35,000 people showed up yesterday. You know how many cheese and pimento sandwiches they sold at Augusta National? 35,000. Everybody had one. That's what happened. Anyway, Couples said he looked really sharp, razor sharp. So it's 50 to 1 to win the tournament. Would you take a shot on that? Now, think about this. What's been going on lately?
Not finishing the tournament.
The basketball tournament ends, and what was the biggest part of the basketball tournament? Cinderella stories, was it not?
Oh, yeah.
Cinderella stories. Later on in our Believe podcast, right, we're going to talk to Ian Eagle, of course, of CBS. He couldn't make it during the time frame of our Ion Channel show. And so just later on today, I mean, and he had the St. Peter's games, right? Because Nance was saying, make sure you bury Eagle. I don't want anybody to be watching him because he's better than me.
Make sure you bury
Eagle. They go, yeah, sure, Jim. Yeah, we'll bury him. We'll give him St. Peter's.
I got the story of the tournament.
Guess who they're playing, Jim? Kentucky. Eagles finished.
Yeah, he's done.
So they win, and he's got the fairy tale story. And, I believe he was working with Jim Spanarkel, who is well respected by everybody that does any kind of media analysis for a living. They always wonder why Spanarkel doesn't get a better shot. Is he?
He's solid.
Not fashionable?
Yeah, he's just
you
solid.
You like him? Yeah,
I think he does a good job, and he's really go with Iron, but he's not like the thing that gets popular these days. I don't know, screams and yells, and it's annoying. He just does his job well.
There you go. Doing your job well is no longer a consideration.
Not good.
You have to be some kind of clown.
Insane, yeah.
In order to make it, which is why we attempt to do whatever it is that we're doing here on the show. All right, a lot of fun being with you. Brett Tesler's going to join us here. We'll talk about some of the things that are happening in the National Football League, including what could be the most incredible development maybe in the history of mankind, going all the way back to Roldan when he said, like, I think, who was that? Was that Rene Descartes? Roldan, who said, I think, therefore I am? Rene Descartes. Yeah, that was Rene Descartes, the mathematician, believe it or not. And then he came up with this philosophical gem, I think, therefore I am. Now, in our case, we don't think. And we didn't think anything about that Kansas comeback because it wasn't good enough, Lubie. Cover 4 and a hook.
I was going to say, because I actually stayed up, and it's rare for me to stay up, especially when the game starts after 9, which I still don't understand what the hell they were doing. The West Coast would watch. Like, you didn't have to start it at 6 their time, but whatever. So I stayed up because the game, of course, was close the whole time. And I was excited because I called Kansas, and Kansas won. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I don't think they covered. I'm like, damn.
No, not even close.
So Defo still got it right, even if North Carolina lost, because they did cover.
Well, and this is an interesting question of degenerate protocol and, just any kind of degenerate consideration is that Mustang sends me a text and says, who do you like in the game? Which she doesn't have any interest in this college basketball game. So I'm thinking, who is she going to give my pick to?
Yep.
Right? Because I don't want to bury anybody. I don't know. Do I really know what's going to happen in this game? I told you, and you've heard me talking about, not that I was alone in this, but most people discounted North Carolina's run in the second, whatever it would be, the second 2/3 of the season. Yeah. I mean, for the first third of the season, you were thinking, who's this chump, Hubert Davis? Man, did they give the job to the wrong guy? And the team looks like it was in total disarray. Yep. They were losing. They were accused of being soft. And then they started beating people. And, I mean, they really, outside of that blip was, the only blip was that Virginia Tech loss in the ACC tournament. Think about that. And then, I guess, I mean, what would you call this? I mean, is that a choke job? When you have a 15-point lead or whatever, was it 15 or 16 at halftime? That's when I checked out.
40 to 25.
Yeah, because I told Mustang, and she was giving it, my selection to some friend of ours, okay. And I said I like North Carolina, and I don't know now when you say something like that, doesn't that imply that you're including the point spread?
Yes. That's why I didn't get that excited, because I was right in the sense that Kansas won, but we go by the spread. It wasn't a tournament pick. There's no spread. But if you're just picking games, the spread has to be, or what the hell is the point?
I'm with you on that. I mean, you could be betting North Carolina on the money line and maybe
money line. I mean, but we didn't say money
smaller money line bet and take the points because I mean, this is my new philosophy after kind of studying this through the tournament. It's amazing that you can teach an old dog new tricks, right? The geezers at Caesars concept is not necessarily holding totally true because And this should be a philosophy that you've had since birth, right? If you were gambling on games, if you like a team if you think they're in there with a shot to win the game, then why wouldn't you always take the points whenever they're offered if your team is getting points in a game? You're thinking North Carolina has a shot to win this game.
They get the points.
And they're getting 4.5. So, I mean, what do you do? Small bet on the money line and a bigger bet with the points? Something like that?
Yeah.
4.5 on the money line is probably, worth like maybe plus 190. Is it almost 2 to 1?
Yeah, I don't.
Is it that high? I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's 2 to 1. Probably it's just under 2 to 1.
This is the kind of math that should be taught in school, right? What is the proportionate and parallel scale, like money line to points allotted in a college basketball game? Obviously, it's going to be different for maybe a pro game and probably different, if you were talking about professional football.
Professor, of course, chimes in plus 170. Plus 170 you're getting with Carolina. So just under 2 to 1.
Well, as the professor also will be joining us on Friday with another fabulous edition of the Professor's Big Board. But as the professor, if that wouldn't be the normal strategy, you think a team like North Carolina has a shot to win the game,
that's what.
And then you're getting the points. So you make, let's say you were doing it in units of 100, maybe you bet 100 on the money line, 200 on the team with the points.
I know he does that all the time, like to cover his. Unlike you, who just does the parlay. Yep. I don't want to speak for him, but he replied because I would pay attention to his bets all the time. And unlike you, who just does the parlay, so you screw yourself, he does the opposite, where he'll go money line, but he also will cover his ass, giving himself a little bit of a cushion.
Good thinking, man. That's why he's a professor, and I'm sitting here, schlepping over a hot microphone, trying to figure out what my next move is in life.
A taste, exactly. I can't even talk for him.
Little taste on the money line. Yeah.
With the points. Taste on the money line, which look, you would have been sitting pretty. I mean, even when Kansas came back, it still was a game. Like Kansas never ran away with it. North Carolina hung in until the freaking end. They literally tied it up with seconds left in the game. Like it was when if you had Ken's bet last night, you're thinking you're going to win this thing. I mean, all the way. Yeah. You weren't a good, even if you lost.
Even after the blitzkrieg in the second half, look, teams make runs. Unfortunately, this was very reminiscent of the Miami game.
Yes, it was
where they're getting kind of outgunned a little bit in the first half of the game, and in this case, a much wider margin, and then come out in the second half and erase that deficit right away. Only this one developed into a dogfight, where unfortunately for Miami, it just continued to grow into an even bigger blowout. And at the end, all you could ask yourself is, peace or no peace? Atlantic City, by the way, takes the cake for the worst hair pieces anywhere in America. Atlantic City, New Jersey. You roll around any casino there, and you can spot them. Man, there's one. And they're bad. It looks like somebody in costumes decided, hey, I'm going to sabotage this movie and make sure nobody looks like anything that would even remotely resemble a human being, much less the character they're supposed to be playing. All right, Brett Tesser, the agent to the stars, is going to join us here, and he's been with us every Tuesday, usually around 8:35 on the East Coast, and so we're moving things around a little bit because Tess is a busy man, right?
Yes.
Probably some trade being consummated right now. Who knows, man? One of his clients for 100 draft picks. It'd be fairly common for what's happening right now in the National Football League. Major League Baseball debuts in just a couple of days, Lubie. How much excitement is there in town about that?
Oh, zero. I didn't even know. Wow. I thought it was another week of spring training.
I mean, the ship has sailed, man. Jeter's out of here. South Florida, when it comes to, they always ask this question. I debated this for years on sports talk shows, whether baseball would work down here. I think you have to say that, the answer is a definitive no on that, right? New stadium, new everything, and no one gives a flying one. You haven't heard one word about the Miami Marlins. Not one single word.
And it's true because the other teams are playing well, so they're really, it's not even like we have nothing. So like, maybe the Marlins. Like the Dolphins are fun this offseason. The Heat and Panthers are killing it. Like, who? Marlins who? Like what?
It's not. There's no radar registration whatsoever. It's not like they're flying under the radar. It's like zero, man.
Yeah, exactly. They're just not even on it.
Zero steam. Unbelievable. All right, Brett Tesser, the agent to the stars in the NFL. Later on, Harvey Fialkov. I'm sure he'll have a lot of thoughts about tennis and the upcoming baseball season. He's probably screaming about, something that Brian Cashman didn't do during the offseason. And Red Deer Randy Moeller, always a hoot. Red Deer Randy Moeller on the amazing Florida Panthers, and we'll have to put it to him and see if he wants. I guess we have to invite him to the dinner, no? The
Yes.
Mayo dinner?
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially if he's in town, because they may be winning all these series, so he may not be around. But if he is around,
I think you can make special arrangements to come on Mike Mayo's ticket, although Mayo continues to try to redefine what that bet was all about. He's got a corner man, too. He's got Jim Sarney in his corner going, "You're blowing it, kid. You're blowing it," like he was Angelo Dundee talking to Sugar Ray Leonard. What round was that? Like round 9 against the hitman, Tommy Hearns. He's getting outboxed. Never forget that. All right, coming back with more in a moment on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubie. Lubitz, Hialeah Park, a beautiful place to go anytime. And wow, I mean, are they doing it right? Triple Crown Series coming up, Champion Simulcasting Room, your place to go. Make a reservation maybe the day before. Get yourself one of those private seats with the little booth where you can change the screen and everything. And you're not subjected to the whims of outrageous misfortune that is being begat by other people in the room who might be losing. You're sitting there going, or you could be part of that crowd, right? It's nice to be able to commiserate with people. I can't believe that two got up on the inside. But the spirit in there is what it's all about. I mean, there's nothing like me. I love it. I was at the Borgata there a couple of days again over the weekend in the race book, and there's no greater feeling if you're a horse racing fan, especially. And Hialeah has the best room, I believe, anywhere in the country. I believe that in all sincerity.
great job.
Great job, man. And then on top of that, it's like super cool. Is you got all the food that you could possibly want. You can order, speaking of whims, pheasant under glass, no problem, right? And Frankie might bring it to you personally, Frank Fiore. That's how they are there, man. They work as a beautifully synchronized team on virtually everything they do. I mean, they have great leadership there, and it really makes a difference when you're running, a casino or an establishment of this nature, entertainment destination, as Hialeah Park is in actuality. Because, man, anything you want to do there, you can do. You want to play slots? No problem. You want to play craps? No problem. Roulette? No problem. You want to eat? Great. You want to sing and dance? They have that going, too. Always a great atmosphere, always a great vibe. It's beautiful. Hialeah Park is beautiful as ever. Make your plans, clear your social calendar, make plans to go out there during a week till 3 a.m. Plenty of opportunity. They open up at 9, and then on the weekends, open till 5 a.m. Going to party all night long. All of a sudden, you're Lionel Richie walking in there with a pair of dancing shoes on. Beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, Brett Tesser coming up. And we'll be joined by Brett in just a moment here, but I kind of blew this whole segment.
Sort of did.
He's got limited time. All right, so we'll come right back with Brett Tesser. In fact, why don't we just go with him right now, right? Can we do that, Lubie? Bring in Brett Tesser?
I have to call.
Yeah. All right, pop him on, because we don't necessarily want to, have him have like a 3-minute segment here on the show. He's got some kind of commitment at 7:45, so we'll get right to Brett Tesser and get at least a few minutes of his thoughts about what's happening in the National Football League, including all of these bizarre trades that are taking place. Where I didn't really get that one. It was hard to decipher what was being accomplished by the Philadelphia Eagles and the New Orleans Saints, who swapped, and I don't remember all of the details, but it was like these guys are getting 2 number 1 picks 2 years from now, and they're getting their number 1 pick this year, and there's a couple of number 3s and a number 5. And if anybody can explain it to me, Lucy, and the significance of it, guys are rating the deal also, Lubie.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they're rating it like who got the better of the deal. I don't know. How could you possibly decipher that? And what the purpose was of it. Okay, good. We have Brett Tesser. Sorry, Brett, man. I was rambling there, and I got talking about Hialeah Park, and I didn't realize you had to bolt by 7:45. So good to have you on the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Deef. We actually have till 7:50, so we'll get a good one in.
Oh, good. All right. I was just rambling on this, trying to fill a little time here, and but what happened? What is this deal with the draft pick trade between? What does it mean? Anything? What's the significance of this deal that took place yesterday, which involved like it seemed like 30 draft picks altogether between two teams?
Are you referring to the Eagles trade?
Yes.
Yeah, Eagles and the Saints.
Yeah, it seems like the Saints moved up minimally and gave up an awful lot to do it. It's one of those. It's one of those moves that I don't understand. It's one thing for a move like that to happen maybe during the draft when there's one specific player that's sitting there that a team feels like they need that bad. But for something like this to happen almost a month before the draft, it seems like an awful lot to give up for very little in return.
And if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I don't know, it's not like a super high draft pick. So, I mean, how do you pinpoint what's going to be available there? And, especially like you said, a month out, it seemed like an absurd move to make on the part of the Saints.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why so many people are killing the Saints over this move. Again, it's one thing if you're on the clock and you need a quarterback and, say the only logical quarterback available who could end up going right after that pick to another team that may have a need, then maybe you make a move like that. But in this situation, it's a head scratcher.
Especially so because does it seem like, I mean, it's sort of wide open this year's draft. You don't have, you have a couple of players who obviously are going to go, in the top five, but not the usual suspects where you're debating between, three or four, maybe even five quarterbacks as to who's the best.
Well, like any draft, I can tell you everything about every player in this draft. Just ask me in about 2 years.
Exactly.
That's the thing about me, Deef. I never miss. Just ask me in 2 years, and I'll let you know exactly what. And so let's face it, there's been drafts where there's supposed to have been four great quarterbacks and not one of them pan out, or maybe one of them. And then there's supposed to be other drafts that are supposed to be terrible where you see a guy just, somehow emerge and become a great player. So I will say that in this year's draft, especially once you get to the mid to lower rounds, there's way, way, way more talent in this draft than other drafts because you had all the guys that took the COVID action last season and came back for an extra year this year, which I think in most cases was a huge mistake, but so many players ended up doing that basically now you've got, maybe a third or even a half more draft pool, yet no more actual draft picks. So you're going to see a lot of guys in this year's draft who could have been, or should have been in a normal draft, mid-round picks, that now end up becoming late round picks. You're going to see guys who would be in some cases mid to late round picks who in this year's draft maybe don't get drafted at all. And conversely, you're going to see guys who under normal circumstances at least would have been a priority free agent or a guy that would be getting signed right after the draft who may not even get an opportunity this year. So certainly not a great year to be a draft pick.
Yeah, when you're talking about how suspect the draft is, somebody thought Akili Smith was going to be great, right?
Yes.
And there have been so many, mistakes made, much more legendary than a lot of the surprise picks where you had guys like Terrell Davis and, of course, dare I mention Tom Brady. Now, what are you hearing on the grapevine there, Brett Tesser? I mean, it's kind of like trying to investigate the slap there, Will Smith and Chris Rock, which I don't know if you want to express a thought on that, but a cheap shot. I mean, if there ever was one, and what a chin Chris Rock turns out to have. But as you look at the upcoming draft, and you're thinking, so suspect some of these moves. And we asked you this before. Did it seem like draft picks have become less valuable when you saw all of these players being traded, and what teams are willing to give up to get them to change the dynamic of their team?
Draft picks are like unscratched lottery tickets. And obviously, you're smarter for going more for a proven type of a investment, if there is such a thing. And that's obviously why free agency is a good way for teams to sort of put the finishing touches on their roster. But aside from the excitement about a draft pick and the potential there in the way that, it gets the fans excited, even about the last pick in the draft, hey, you never know. What if this is the next Tom Brady? What if this is the next, insert whatever, late round superstar name you want. So there's a lot of excitement that comes with that. But the most important thing that you get with draft picks, especially a quarterback taken high, is you get a guy at a very affordable contract for 5 years. So if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you have your franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow, definitely one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the league for sure, and you enjoy him at a fraction of what a team like the Packers have to pay Aaron Rodgers, or a team like the Browns even have to pay Deshaun Watson, It's the absolute most proven formula to winning, and that's why you will see more teams than ever do the suck for, again, insert whatever would-be franchise quarterback name in there, because, the opportunity to get those guys, not only are you getting the most coveted position and most difficult position to hit on, but you're getting it at such an affordable price. It really allows you to put those other pieces in place, like you saw the Bengals do last season, where they have a window now for probably at least, the next 3 years.
Brett Tessa, the agent of the stars, a very busy agent of the stars with us here on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. All right, you would have far more insight into this than we would, but has anybody seen or heard from Chris Greer? It seems like the Dolphins are making every move that would make you think that the organization has suddenly had an epiphany and are doing things only in a logical and intelligent fashion, and yet you don't see any Chris Greer press conferences or anything. Is he still with the team, Chris Greer? and how much does he have to do with the big-time decision-making? Because even in trading Devontae Parker, to the Patriots of all places, they're receiving praise.
Well, as much as fans and media and people like that like to see and hear from their general manager, the reality is you guys don't have to for your team to be successful. You take someone like Kevin Colbert from the Steelers, who has been one of the top executives in this league for the past couple decades. And he's a guy that, most people on the outside never hear from or see. The only important thing is that I hear from him when I send him a text about something and he responds.
Yeah.
When I call him about a player and we talk about it. So again, while a lot of fans may not hear or see from a guy like Chris Greer, I certainly did when we were doing the Mostert deal a couple weeks ago. And to me, that's all that really matters.
All right, just a couple of quick things. I know you have to run, Brett, but I started to ask about this Brady Arians thing. And do you think that was also orchestrated by Giselle? Arians all of a sudden abdicating his position as coach, turning it over to Todd Bowles. Another minority role is filled in the NFL, so they had to be happy about that. But did Bruce Arians give any indication prior to Brady's return that he had any intention of stepping down?
No, not that anybody from inside our league is aware, at least not from anybody outside of his tightest inner circle. Certainly never heard it from any of the media people that I have relationships with. Didn't hear it from, people in the Buccaneers front office who I talk to on a semi-regular basis. And so, no, I would say the timing of the whole thing is curious at best, and it's okay. Look, things like this happen. Arians has had a great career. He's had a lot of success. Took an Arizona team to the Super Bowl. To me, that's still his most impressive work. And the fact that he was able to win a Super Bowl with Brady in his second to last season, and he's had a lot of health issues and things like this. Whatever the reasons were, it could be a blessing in disguise. Change is inevitable. And, hey, I'm in favor of giving a guy like Todd Bowles another shot. I think he's got some really good qualities. I think he's a very high character guy. I think he's a guy that players respect. Obviously, his defenses have continued to have success over the years. And, it's just hard to make a firm evaluation on a guy when his only real head coaching experience was with the Jets.
Yeah.
It's no different than trying to evaluate a young quarterback behind a crappy offensive line or, other things like this. This is a team sport, and it takes more than just you and your greatness to succeed. There's a reason why Bill Belichick wasn't Bill Belichick when he coached the Browns.
All right, I know you got to run. I couldn't help but think that we're on the very same page. I was thinking that any resume you should be allowed to blot out, the fact that you were the Jets head coach if that was your only head coaching job, so that it doesn't count as a strike against you that you went like 12-26 while you were with the Jets. All right, Brett. Whatever you're doing, I know it's exciting. So thanks so much for being with us here today. Sorry I cut into your time by rambling on there. About how much I love Hialeah Park, but I can't help myself when I start talking about Frank Fiore and the whole crew down there. And always a pleasure, my friend. Now, is this going to be a regular thing, this 7:30-ish time slot here on these Tuesdays?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, beautiful.
Yeah, I have a new obligation Tuesday morning. So, if we could do it around 7:30 to 7:45, 7:50, that'll be great.
A television show? Awesome. All right, sounds good. Brent, we love you, man. Good luck with everything, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
All right, be well, Tess.
All right, Brett Tesser, Agent of the Stars. You think there's an Agent of the Stars television package in the works? What do you think?
You see Cantor and Rosenhaus all over the place. Why not Tess, man?
Yeah, he's been honing his reporting act, for a while here on this show and others as well. Always very credible. One of the great things about Brett Tesser and how he got his whole career going was he was very successful at representing undrafted free agents and players who had been cut by several teams, including, the Raheem Mostert story is a great one. He was cut, I believe, is it 6?
5 or 6 times, yep.
6 or 7 teams that cut this guy.
Yep.
And, what have you ever been? You've been around these training camps? Like I've been around Dolphins training camp, and all of a sudden you'll see a guy and you go, "Hey, that's so and so, right?"
Yep.
Like, and you're thinking, well, what is he doing here? And the guy comes in with a little duffel bag, and he's there for like a 45-minute workout where he's either going to get back into the league or be back on the streets.
Yep.
Accomplished guys, so it's not an easy road. And, if you've been turned down enough times, right, you go and apply for 7 radio jobs. They all tell you to go bleep yourself.
Mention move on. Yeah. Good for him for sticking with it.
I mean, you're literally fired from every job, right? And you stick with it, and boom. Next thing you know, you're the MVP of the NFC Championship game a couple of years ago. And just when you're riding this high and get compensated for it, blow out a knee.
Yep.
And missed the entire season last year, now with the Miami Dolphins. But, wow, it's not always a smooth path, where a guy gets drafted and becomes a star right away. Not everybody ends up like Andrew Luck, who even he ended up having his career cut short. What? Because he got banged around too much? What was that?
He got hit a lot, and he said, screw it. He had made a ton of money. He was a bright guy, had a degree, and he always had visions of doing like architecture and other things.
Yeah.
And he had gotten that second contract in this day and age. So he's like, all right, I'm good.
He didn't want to be like the mongoose Archie Moore, with hey, Archie. It's a few too many fights, my friend. A few too many fights. But really, a sad story. I don't know. Nobody's ever written this story about my man often referenced, Jerry Quarry. Wow, well, what a sad story that turned out to be. Just because the guy was a tough SOB that would fight anybody and, was in there taking a beating. From like maybe obviously the greatest era of heavyweight boxing, and he's just on the fringe on the outside, but he's taking a pounding by smoking Joe Frazier, Ali, George Foreman. All of these guys just knocking the crap out of him. My God. And then, met an early and very unfortunate. Is there anything such as a fortunate death, Lubie? I guess if it happens around 99 and you
like 110, everyone you know has died around you. You lived a pretty solid life.
Right? Hugh Hefner might have had a fortunate death, right? With some babe in his lap there. As he checked out at 92 or whatever he was.
Everything, yeah.
While gargling with Viagra, which probably killed him, but at the same time,
it was worth it, I'm sure.
It was Hugh Hefner. All right, we're coming back with more. Don't forget about Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. That's a great place to go in Key Largo. Mile marker 104, always a great place because, wow, the atmosphere. You talk about, see, I'm a big on the vibe of a place. So, yes. Libby, I don't know if you feel that way. You come in a little nervous, anxious, and bitter to almost any situation that you enter.
Not for fun.
That first meeting with Jack Namer, it was a disaster. I wanted to strangle you. I really did. And, when he asked me who the hell was that, I said, it's one of our new partners. And I didn't feel too comfortable about that. But I'm big on the vibe. If the vibe is good, then you can go ahead and whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to feel good about it. And that's how it is at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. It's just absolutely amazing down there. Wow. From the overwhelming, when we open a door to this condo arrangement that they have, it's very limited. So you have to really inquire online at jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com if you want accommodations there. And they are exquisite. I would have to say far and away the best in the Keys. You can go to the Ocean Reef Club and think you're a big shot there. And, that's one thing. I ran into Sam Weich there the one time I was down at the Ocean Reef Club. I was doing some work for they used to have me cover this sailfish tournament for Sunshine Network, which on the surface you're thinking, what? I'm going to go do like a fishing show?
How do you even know to do that?
I didn't know anything about it.
What the hell did you do?
Knowing something about what you're talking about is not a requirement in broadcasting. You know
Obviously.
that, Lubie. Yeah.
I've taken myself through a lot of things, but I'm just saying, like, that's interesting. I at least have a passing idea of soccer and women's basketball. Like,
But I mean, I wasn't out on one of the boats watching these guys fish. I was just kind of putting together a television show because they were pandering to the whoever the sponsor was at the tournament at the Ocean Reef Club, which is a big tournament, I think, every year down there in the Keys. The Ocean Reef Club's sailfish tournament, big. I mean,
Sure.
and the boats are beautiful, and wow, it's really a cool thing, right? I mean, if you like fishing.
yes.
But so I was just there to go, hey, here's the Captain Bill, and wow, look at that, 350 pounds of sailfish, catch and release. They did everything right. Tagged a couple of fish. Here are the pictures. That was all I had to do. I didn't have to know about how to catch one. Well, you know what? If you use a worm,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, do you have to actually describe what's going on, or you just say,
no.
beautiful
I mean,
day.
it's
Look
like
at all the celebrities. Look, oh, come here. Like that.
they had some video of fish jumping. You know me.
How majestic.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I turned into Kurt Gowdy, right?
gonna
Like I was
say,
doing the American Sportsman.
fisherman.
You had that weird harmonica music in the background there. Phil Harris was already belting down another couple of bottles of booze. Bing was setting, fire to a couple of trout. And they were in the middle of the woods, these three big shots. Unbelievable. Celebrating the fact that they had just caught some speckled trout out of a little tributary there in Montana. You're like, how are there even fish in this water? You could grab them, for God's sake. No, it was cool. It was cool. But wow, I mean, and even that, as spectacular as it was, having a freebie room at the Ocean Reef Club didn't compare. When I opened the door to that condo that they had at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill that they let us use for that weekend, wow. I mean, Lubie, it was mind-blowing. I couldn't let you in there because you would have been mad.
I was going to say I didn't have that experience, but I did.
You were sleeping in the back of a Rambler that was had no engine in it outside of
like a 6-year-old. I got to say, as great emotion as I had, it all subsided the minute we walked. Ken and I literally spent most of our weekend there just hanging out. Like you said it, the vibe is like super cool because the Keys vibe to me can get a little bit too laid back. Like they have just enough going on there where you're not in a coma. Like they actually sort of all the bases. Like, and the food's really good. It's not like bar food. Like they actually.
No, I mean very very unusual and different than anything else you're going to find in the Keys. Also, I mean very innovative. The Gambling Gourmet needs to get down there, Mike Mayo.
Man, whenever
and stuff his face with one of those Italian fisherman pizzas right on the show. We'll bring him down there when we do the show down there, if that ever comes about. No, we'll get down there. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen.
I believe it.
Yeah. Some arrangements need to be made. That's okay. But you should always make arrangements to stop by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, even if you're just driving to another destination. You want to get hosed at another hotel, that's fine. But and it's not for everybody. These accommodations are just unbelievable. But what is for everybody is the action there at the bar, in the restaurants. The food are just absolutely great, and in the sports bar recently remodeled. And man, is that a beautiful thing? A lot of people enjoying the game there last night during the football season. All kinds of crazy stuff happening, and just hanging out there, slugging down a couple of brews and maybe a cocktail or two, some nachos, watching slowly transpiring Major League Baseball. And here comes another pitching change. I tell you what.
I was gonna say because I'm going away. I got to figure out when is the draft because it could be interesting to be there during the draft, like Jimmy. Talking to Jimmy, like in the middle of the draft or after the draft, might be actually sort of cool. He's like,
wow, that would be awesome.
Broke down the draft in a way that
there was nobody better. Jimmy owned the draft. He really did. He made that one glaring error where he traded down and took John Avery, whose claim to fame was that one run in a preseason game that he took back for a touchdown. Other than that, did nothing. And he could have had like Randy Moss, right? I mean, it was unbelievable.
It was the same draft as Randy Moss, and he wasn't worried about Moss, and he traded out, and the Vikings either traded up or stayed where they were and took Randy Moss right before the Dolphins. Yes.
It wasn't the only mistake Jimmy made, but he knew
awesome.
how to accumulate picks so that he could, you're not going to hit on everybody, obviously, as everybody knows. I mean, it's like cliche to say that, Mel Kiper breath, but but if you have a lot of swings at it, you can come up with the gems that he did in the fifth round, like Zach Thomas. What was Jason Taylor? Was he second round or third round pick?
Second or
round.
third. I mean, all those guys were outside of the first round. Daryl Gardner,
Sam Madison, Patrick
second, third round.
Surtain.
That whole defense was like a top 1 or 2 defense for like 5 years, 5 or 6 years, and they were all Jimmy Johnson pulled out of his ass picks.
Yeah. No, he did a great job with that. Always did. Of course, he built the Dallas Cowboys into a tremendous perennial Super Bowl contender and champion. He's so good that Barry Switzer, which does that bother him or what? You mentioned Switzer, and it clicks on a light in Jimmy's head. Anyway, this is all to extol the virtues of Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. A great place. Larry Calvano, the owner there, they do a dynamite job. Dominic and Jimmy, you know what a class individual John is.
Yep.
So, you can imagine his brother and his lovely wife, Amanda. They do a tremendous job down there. Our friend C.J. Spiller is making pizzas and doing all kinds of good things in the kitchen. I mean, just very dedicated to making sure you have a great time. The best time you can have anywhere from Key Largo all the way down to Key West. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, right there, mile marker 104 on the Overseas Highway. All right, we're going to talk some tennis and maybe some baseball with Harvey Fialkov. That's coming up. One of our favorites here on the scene, longtime sports writer for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. And then later on, Red Deer Randy Moeller. I can't imagine that he would think that Mayo is going to win that bet, that the Panthers, Florida Panthers of the NHL, will not get out of the first round of the playoffs. This almost seems inconceivable to me, Lubie, being a sports fan my whole life, that this team would not, they get knocked out in the first round, and that's it. I will never watch another NHL game again. No, you would have to think the fix was in. I mean, there's no way, right?
Things like that happen in hockey. It would just be annoying. Like, for what this organization's gone through, they finally seem like they found the right things. The owners who sort of are pieces of work have stayed out of it. We all respect the GM. They had the stuff with the coach, and the other guy came in and has done a really good job, actually, and they just kept moving along, and they made the right moves. Like, for them to not make a run here would suck. Like, I'm not going to lie, because I'm starting to hear it's not pulsating yet because it's the Panthers, but I'm hearing more people talk about them. Like, when we do our Landlubbers trivia on Thursdays, and because it's in Sunrise right around the corner from the arena, you'll get a nice crowd going there to grab some drinks before they go to the game. So it's like, okay.
Nice.
We weren't seeing that last year. All right, cool. So
now, what jersey are they wearing? Are they still wearing Beezer jerseys?
They wear like bland. I haven't seen a jersey with a name. It's just they'll have jerseys, but it'll be like with their name or something like that. But you're getting to see a little bit more people buy in. So the way to really get them to buy in is have a nice run here. So that's what I'm hoping. They prove Mayo ridiculously wrong and get a freaking bandwagon. It'd be nice.
I mean, once in a while we have a decent opinion on things. I can't imagine. Cannot imagine that team getting knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. Not from what I've seen this year. I mean, they've been remarkable almost all season long, bell to bell, wire to wire, my friend. Wire to wire. Yep. All right, we're coming back with more. Harvey Fialkov, he saw this kid, Carlos Alcaraz. I think he was at, maybe a match or two of his, which was amazing. I mean, this is a phenomenon taking place in men's tennis. The women's game, is it Swiatek? Is that how you pronounce it? Iga Swiatek, the Polish girl that's now #1 in the world. She's excellent, man. A dogged, determined competitor. Doesn't get shaken up too much when things are going wrong. Just stays in there, real steady competitor, and has been knocking the snot out of the ball. And she destroyed Osaka there in the final. But Osaka's a whole new person. Have you seen the new, like almost like a hippy-dippy version of the previous paranoid? It was just 2 weeks ago. She was a paranoid schizophrenic, this Osaka, no?
That's weird. Good for her, I guess.
2 weeks later, man, whoever that therapist is, should immediately have his or her own television show, no?
Yes.
You talk about a guru. All of a sudden, this girl is like singing, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-hey, hey, anybody want to talk to me? I'm available.
Doing any interview possible.
She was putting her head down and crying into her hands just a couple of weeks ago at Indian Wells. And now it's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, Manny, yeah, you want to talk for a while? Yeah, I got something for you. How about you put this in your paper, huh? I'm back. No, it's good. All right, we'll talk with Harvey about all of that. And it was a great tournament, too. I have to say, I watched a lot of Miami Open on TV. Didn't get a chance to get down there. I'm not as big of a fan of going have been when they first had the tournament at now Hard Rock Stadium. Stephen Ross redid everything. You have to give him a lot of credit, right? This tournament would not exist here
I would have
if
gotten
it
rid of
wasn't for that, right?
Yep.
It was gone, man. Yeah, it'd be in Naples.
I
I
would-
don't know. It would not exist anymore. So they kicked him out of Key Biscayne, and he took it over, and it's not bad, but it just doesn't do it for me like Key Biscayne.
It's not the same. I mean, that thing
Yeah.
was nuts. It was like a mini Wimbledon. Like they had different courts and they had a whole. It was like super cool the way that was set
Yeah.
up. I haven't gone to it at Hard Rock. I'll have to see, but I know what they did at Key Biscayne was really cool. That was a really good time.
It's not bad. I mean, it's not the worst setup I've you
It's
couldn't
close,
imagine it
though.
would be as good as it is. That's
Yeah, I mean,
the thing.
it's if you're in north like we are, it's a lot better than driving to freaking the end of the world. Like that would actually be true.
The action though was excellent. I mean, really, really top notch.
Yeah, they did.
Some great matches and some really players that maybe hadn't been in the spotlight getting featured, and the women's draw. That whole thing in women's tennis is mashugana right now, because outside of Swiatek, the top players could be anybody else.
Yep.
And they're not necessarily the ones that are ranked very highly, like my girl Sabalenka. Man, have you seen this woman? She's unbelievable, Lubie. And yet, Harvey will tell you a head case, right? More double faults than you would have in a match. She's a pro. Of course, she's hitting the ball like significantly harder. All right, coming right back with more here on Ion Channel. Great to be with you as always. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. Later on in the show, it's going to be Red Deer Randy Moller and the Panthers, and the early burial of Mike Mayo and his premise that they won't win a playoff series continues to be exasperated right here on the show. Or exacerbated right here on the show. Exasperated is one thing, having to listen to Mayo and his cynicism, but
Yeah, exactly.
we're going to exacerbate the situation and egg it on even further with Red Deer Randy Moller. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Probably should play some spots here. It's 8:06. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
I've sinned against you, my Lord.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. I just saw him. He was sitting there in that chair, wasn't he?
Symbolic? Like, is he trying to tell us something? Is that what it is?
I'm here.
Look at this guy. It's professional broadcasting, Harvey Fialkov. Well, what are you doing to us? Mike Lubitz, Harvey Fialkov, we welcome him into the show. Good to see you, Harvey. I can't believe, I mean, as disheveled as I am on these programs, that you felt that you weren't up to the standard physically last week to appear on the show, but it's good to see you here on the program.
I was a mess. I looked like Riley Opelka, the mountain man, last week.
Your favorite, who dissed you for an interview, much like Raymond Floyd did me many years ago at Doral.
The grouchy 7-footer, man. I don't know what he's so grouchy about. He's already rich, even though he's like top 20. Never won anything but an ATP 250, kind of the lower level tournaments. But, man, he's just angry at everybody. I don't know why.
All right, let me ask you this: did you ever play Chinese handball? Your days growing up in New York, Chinese handball. Do you remember that
No,
game?
paddleball. We used paddleball off that wall.
All right.
Never. My dad was a handball player.
This was like
Brooklyn.
a form.
That was
It
a
was.
Brooklyn game. It was.
It was also known as boxball. Boxball, Chinese handball, where you had the ball and you would bounce it against the wall and hit it, and then wham, send a cutter over to the guy that was 2 boxes over, and then that guy would go flying, and he would lose the point. Now he had to go to the back of the line, and you accumulated points in this way, and it was a great game. But from that game was derived the atomic baby, which was kind of a rollout shot in racquetball, where you hit a little cutter. And what was amazing to me about this Carlos Alcaraz, the new upcoming star that you covered a couple of his matches, or at least one of them, right?
Oh, absolutely. Against Kekmanovic, the Serbian guy.
Oh, that was a great match.
Oh, that was one of the best matches. That and Tsitsipas Alcaraz were the 2 best matches of the tournament.
Yeah, they were great, both of them. Did you see Tsitsipas also with Alcaraz?
No, that one I watched on TV. I left early. I wasn't working that day, so I purposely went just to watch Sinner against Kyrgios on the grandstand.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was when he blew up, and I gave every detail to Michelle Kaufman of the Herald. She wasn't there yet, so they gave me a full payday. Thanks to Michelle. She's so sweet to me. She's working hard. Michelle Kaufman covers UM basketball and Inter Miami soccer and tennis. They were just running her ragged. So thankfully, I filled in 5 days for her, including the men's semis, and set up the women's final. It was a great. It brought back memories. I know you guys. I agree with you. It's not as a wonderful tournament as Key Biscayne. Going over that Rickenbacker Causeway with my top down. It was the best 2 weeks of my life every year. The beautiful people that went there and the crowds are just exciting. But it was tough to get in and out of the traffic. And this is easy in and out to Dolphin, the Hard Rock. And honestly, as you alluded to, Deef, Stephen Ross did an amazing job making this Masters 1000 tournament, one of the biggest tournaments in the world, in a parking lot of a football stadium. And now he's building a Formula racetrack around there also. They got what do you call those? Gondolas in the sky. I mean, and they built 3 new courts. I mean, there's a Butch Buchholz court, and court 1 is a great court, and the grandstand's a great outside court. The stadium still lacks the ambiance of Key Biscayne on 3 sides, especially. The 4th side's terrible. But still, I really commend Stephen Ross for keeping this tournament in South Florida. As you alluded to, it might have been Naples, Florida. It might have been Naples, Italy. This baby was going to South America. This baby was leaving town. So thank you, Stephen Ross.
Yeah, did a great job with that, and he didn't seem to look overly disturbed. There were a couple of shots of him on TV sitting in one of those luxurious seats, which I think are a big ripoff for the football season. But if you own the stadium, I guess you don't have to pay. And you would have never known that Brian Flores ever lived. I mean, looking at Stephen Ross, he was the epitome of calm watching one of the women's matches taking place. That Kekmanovic match, though, against Alcaraz was tremendous. And the reason I brought up the Chinese handball and the atomic baby was, I mean, you have to love this Harvey Fialkov. I think also being a big proponent of the dropper. I mean, you love to see all of those guys, Joe Rose and Winderman, just falling on their face as they try to chase down another wicked dropper from Harvey Fialkov. But this kid who's hitting nothing but howitzers, both sides, was a giant proponent of the drop shot.
And in the most critical moments, as Jim Curry pointed out, he loves doing it in tiebreakers. Twice against Kekmanovic, and then again against Hurkacz, he was down 3-5 in the tiebreaker, and he pulls out the drop shot. Yeah. And like you said, Deef, these guys are playing against the fence because he's hitting his forehands and backhands like 120 miles an hour. So they have to play deep, and then he has this forehand dropper, and I think at one time he had won 21 out of 22 of his drop shots.
It was tournament. 41 out of 46 going into like the last, I guess it was the semifinal or the final round. Right. 41 out of 46 times he attempted the dropper, which you're going to miss a couple also. I mean,
you don't win it.
It worked.
You don't win it outright. You don't win it outright, but it sets up the next shot. But he was winning them outright and setting up the next shot. So this kid's got the guts of a burglar. He's fearless. To me, he's like the Elvis Presley of the tour right now. He's got charisma. his English is really bad, but so is Rafa's at the beginning. Hopefully he'll learn. He's got a great coach in Juan Carlos Ferrero, who reached #1, the Mosquito, another Spanish role model. And Rafa's a good friend of his, like Carlos Moya is to Rafa. I mean, this Spain is set for 15 years with this kid Alcaraz and also Badosa on the women's side. She got sick at the end of this tournament. She's going to be fighting Iga Swiatek for that top spot in the next 5 years. They're going to go back and forth, I believe. And even Andreescu from Canada, I hope she gets her act together. She followed the trail of Osaka with the mental health issues. And as you mentioned, it looked good. Naomi was happy. She got a lot of love in Miami. Her interviews were friendly and fun, talking about music she listens to. Sad music. I don't know why.
And, what happened? Did they give her like some kind of psychedelic drug? I mean, was she tripping on LSD and all of a sudden it came to her? She's listening to Sgt. Pepper's and happy to be alive. It was great. I mean, that is a quick turnaround psychologically, you would have to say.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, Deep. She saw a therapist after Indian Wells. She got heckled by a fan. They yelled out, "You suck, Naomi," and she fell to pieces in the second round match, crying again. And but she saw a therapist in between the tournaments. And by the way, Swiatek has a traveling mental therapist. So these girls, I guess it's tougher for the women out there in the world. Sometimes they're alone if they don't have the entourage. It's not an easy life, Jeff, especially unless you're like the top 20, top 50. Especially these kids, the women are younger. They're 18, 19. Maybe they're going with their fathers who are usually overbearing. We got a local girl, Alexa Blokina, has a wonderful family. Russian girl, lives in Plantation. She just won the Easter Bowl, and she's going to play in all the junior slams. You'll see her in the Pro Tour soon. But still, I root for Osaka, even though I don't agree with a lot of her reasons for her mental issues. She made $350 million, and then her father stiffed her coaches down here. She stiffed a couple of majors to play Tokyo because she was going to light the torch and get her endorsement. So hopefully she's got her act together now, because she was dominating tennis before Ash Barty took over. She was beating Serena. She beat her 2 out of 3. She was 2-2 against Barty. She's got the power of Davenport, but she's also got a great serve. So I think we're going to see her for many years to come if she gets her act together, but she'll probably quit before she's 28.
She seemed absolutely jolly. I mean, Mary Poppins-esque when I saw her in interviews. And you're rooting for somebody not to lose it like that.
Right.
Where
it's sad.
Yeah, I mean, and I understand the fragility. That would be natural to being on the women's tour where in general, these women are breaking through at the top at a younger age than men are.
Right.
With Alcaraz is kind of a modern day exception. And now, one of the things, where did this guy Rude come from? When did he drop in at number 7, Harvey? I never heard of the guy. I followed the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, where did he come from? Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, he's like number 7 in the world.
Norway. I think he should have been a skier. But
yeah.
His father, Christian Ruud, was a top 40 player. He was the best Norwegian tennis player before his son passed him by. Last year, Deep, he made, I think, 5 Masters quarters or semifinals, all on clay, though. He's a clay court specialist, but the courts were very slow. I played in the media tournament out on court 3.
I heard you did well, too.
Yeah, they were slow, hard courts. I came in second place. Only 16 people showed up, but
was Joe Rose in it? I mean,
no. Joe is just making his comeback finally, but he still needs back surgery and hip surgery, but he's afraid of the knife. I don't know. I thought he trusted Dr. Uribe, but Joe has just started playing again.
All right.
He's playing Winderman and this other schlep Max.
A couple of soft opponents there in the prelims. Yeah. Then he gets the big fight against Mayweather. All right.
I beat Ira 6-1 yesterday with my new racket that I won in the tournament. The grip's too small, but I kind of like the feel of it. I got to build up the grip. But the outside court,
I thought you were going to say with one hand tied behind your back. When you
could definitely beat Ira. Yeah. But listen, the courts are very slow, and the outside courts, as Kyrgios is complaining about. I saw his match, another blow up against Sinner, but that was besides the point. But so the slow hard court suited Ruud's game. And he has a great forehand. He improved his serve, number 7 in the world. But this kid Alcaraz, he's going to be number 1. Take it to the bank. If you could bet this somewhere, guys, Lubie, Defo, bet it. This kid is going to be a legend. Forget the big three. They're basically faded away. Maybe Rafa will come back again after this broken rib. Djokovic, I guess he doesn't need the shot in Monte Carlo. He's going to come back next week and play the clay circuit. But I'd love to see Alcaraz clean Djokovic's clock. This kid can do it all. He does not have a weakness, and he has every strength in the book. He's got a good tennis IQ. Legendaries. It's so great to see new kids replace the legends, and this kid's one of them. Tsitsipas is great. We got Jensen Brooksby, and this kid, Peter Korda's kid's going to be great, Sebastian Korda. So you got a great crop coming in. I haven't given up on Shapovalov and Felix Auger-Aliassime. So I'm excited for men's tennis in the future.
I'm glad, though, you were immersed in this thing. The Atomic Baby, Fialkov.
The dropper.
The Atomic Baby. That's the one that gets him. All right, baseball season going to crank up Thursday, opening day. First game of the baseball season. You're in New York Yankees. How could this be? Are the Mets just cursed?
Oh,
DeGrom,
God.
he may be finished. People are worried about, and then Max Scherzer pulls a hammy, and so he's out for at least opening day. I don't know how far that's going to take him into the season, but what a disaster! And then I don't know. You were fetching as you always do about the Yankees, and a lot of people seem to feel that you just didn't do enough in the offseason. What's your thought there?
Well, I'm kind of falling in like with his shortstop, kind of Falefa. The guy's just hitting over 400.
Who? What?
Kind of Falefa.
Mayo ordered that at an Indian restaurant the other day. What is that? I love the kind of Falefa.
It sounds Greek.
Yeah. All right.
The guy led the league led American League in singles last year. They need a contact hitter. He's a Gold Glove third baseman, now playing short. I like this kid. I know they didn't go for the big free agents this offseason with the weird lockout that was going on. I do like some of the additions. They bring in a catcher, Trevino, not a golfer, to back up Higgy Shiak. I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah.
The Japanese catcher. 7 spring training home runs. Forget Gary Sanchez. Keep him in Minnesota. This guy, listen, he had 10 homers in 67 games this year. He had a lot of warning track power type hot shots, but now he's bulked up a little. I think he can hit 25 homers in the catcher position, playing about 120 games. But listen, I'm worried about the pitching. Severino hasn't really pitched in 3 years. He's already
four shutout innings yesterday.
Yeah, that was a good breakthrough. Cole will be there. They really don't have a great. Garcia's going back to the minors, but he looked good in the spring. I don't want Chapman to blow another season for us. I'd rather have Loziga be the reliever. But all in all, they got to re-sign Judge before opening day. That's the rumor, that they're going to get it done before Thursday. When they play the cursed Red Sox. What a way to start this season. But I think it's going to be struggling this year because Toronto is sick. I mean, Toronto's got a lineup that's an all-star lineup, a batting lineup. I don't know who's going to beat Toronto. And Boston's tough too. But the Blue Jays are definitely favored over the Yankees.
No mention of the Rays, who are always there somehow, no matter how ridiculously poor their lineup looks.
They're always there.
Yeah.
Who's on that team? Unbelievable.
I couldn't name you a guy. They traded away more of their guys, right?
Yes.
They, get rid of some star caliber players or potential stars.
The Marlins got Wendell, the infielder. Now, listen, the Mets. Look, the Mets got a great lineup with Lindor, and they got Marte now, but Scherzer and DeGrom 1.08 ERA last year, guys, but he only pitched like 15 games.
Yes, I was hurt.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's the best hitter in the team, and now they got the DH, so that takes away his bat. So now Scherzer's banged up, but Scherzer pitches 35 games a year, every year for his career. I think he'll be there. This is just a minor hiccup, but DeGrom is definitely worrisome. I think the Mets are going to have a good season, but these guys got to stay healthy, just like the Yankees. Last year, Stanton stayed healthy, my favorite player, as you know, and he had a great season. He's going to play the outfield this year. But listen, Joey Gallo's got to go. Re-sign Gardner. Get Gallo out of here. Send him back to wine country. The guy is a walking strikeout. He's horrible. I can't understand what they see in this guy batting in the middle of the lineup. And so I don't know. I miss Gio Urshela too.
I think you're possessed by the ghost of Yogi Berra because
Yes,
I mean, you're talking about like a team in another league, and then all of a sudden you get back to fetching about the Yankees.
Automatic.
I mean, the whole train of thought, Harvey Fialkov, is a little
Impressive.
bit mind-boggling. It really is. I mean,
We got the Panthers
me,
in
I
the
should
heat.
talk, right? With
exactly.
my rambling mind, but
Yeah.
nonetheless. All right, so that's very exciting. Now we're going to talk in a few minutes here on the show, Harvey, right after you with Red Deer Randy Moeller.
Love
And
him.
it's his first appearance here on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. We're very excited about that.
Wow.
And yet, and we have this bet going, as you know, with Mike Mayo, one of your former contemporaries at the Sun Sentinel,
Love
now
Mike.
known and campaigning as the gambling gourmet in his new life here in electronic media. And he doesn't believe the Panthers will get out of the first round. Now you're saying it's possible they could match up badly, either with Ovechkin and the Caps, or possibly the Boston Bruins, who are tough. But are they not? How could they not be good enough to get out of the first round this year?
Can't be worse than the
Yeah, not right. No, the Lightning, that was a horrible matchup last year, but that was because of the pandemic. They played everyone in their own division, but this year they're going out, it's wide open. It's just like basketball. But right now they slated to play Boston or Washington. It can change, but listen, Ovechkin kills anyone. He's one of the greatest goal scorers in history, other than Mike Bossy. A word for Mike Bossy, guys. I was in the Islander years on Long Island. I played softball against these guys, and Mike Bossy's in hospice and one of the greatest goal scorers in history. I just looked up his numbers. Over 50 goals every year of his career, except the last year when he was injured. He scored 38 in like 60 games. This guy was one of the greatest goal scorers ever. And he was the man behind that Islander dynasty, him and Cock Gillies and Trottier. But listen, it's a tough matchup for the Panthers right now. They're the second best record in all of hockey. The Avalanche just passed them by. Over 100 points. They clinched a playoff spot. They come back from 6-2 the other day. 4 goals in the third period, and then they win in OT. Who does that? 4-goal deficits in the third
Mayo
period.
was shaking after that game. He really was. He was shaking at the prospect of having to buy dinner for like 20 people at Anthony's Runway 84.
They're the best 5-on-5 hockey team in many years. Powell plays solid too. Hopefully they can get Ekblad back. They miss him. They added some sandpaper on the defensive line recently, so they got it all right now.
Well, what about Claude Giroux?
Oh, great pickup!
There you go. Come on, Harvey.
Great pickup,
Claude Giroux.
No, this guy's he Flyers. He just dominated for the Flyers over the years. Great pickup.
How the hell is it? What happened with him? I know the Flyers are in the toilet, but is that why he was available?
That's it. Yeah, you sell, and he's old. He's pretty old, and he's selling salaries. You're dumping salaries, and that's what the Flyers did. And they're not, they don't play against the Panthers that often. So that was a salary dump, pure and simple, as it happened at the trade deadline. So no, the Panthers look great. The Heat are back in action after that little fight in the huddle there with Butler and Spo and UD. Max Strus is on the loose, baby. Forget about Duncan Robinson. Take that $90 million back. I mean, Max Strus is the man. He does everything Duncan does, only more.
Yep.
So you got to play him well over Duncan. I'm sorry. It's time to just be hard on Duncan. I like the kid, but Strus is just a better all-around player. And when he's open, his feet are set, that three is money. Unlike Love last night for North Carolina.
Yeah, no, that was unfortunate. Although we did cover the point spread there with the Tar Heels, and we didn't get to see Bill Self throw the hairpiece. If he was going to do it, it would have been in the first half.
Yeah, he didn't.
He got out-coached. Davis got out-coached in that second half, man. They made all the adjustments, and Kansas picked up that defense intensity. Love was missing all night, and the big guy was playing on one leg. And it was a great.
But when you're
game.
a shooter, I mean, you're a shooter, Harvey. Yeah. I mean, when the shooter is ice cold, and all of a sudden they're like 4 for 18 to start the second half.
Right.
You're going to go down. I mean, in all likelihood, that lead will evaporate quickly, especially with the 3-point shot and the Big Mac inside. I mean, it was like extra cheese, my friend. they couldn't deal with him. He was only 15 and 10, but that was. That was a big difference, especially at the end there when he hit those two little baby hooks.
My God, he looks like he's 35.
That's the thing about college basketball now. They're older than the pros. Right? I mean, they really are, because these are kids that stick around. They're in a transfer portal for 6 years.
Right,
And
6
I mean,
years.
look at Jim Larinaga's team. John Blutarski spent less time at Faber than McGusty did at the University of Miami.
The guy's like
incredible.
30. The guy's like 30, man. No. It was a great game, though. Very entertaining. I was switching off with some replay of the Yankee game. But anyhow, listen, I just really hope that Mike Boss, he's surrounded by love and he goes peacefully. And the Panthers and the Heat take a long run in the playoffs. And we got Yankee baseball on Thursday. This is when all the sports converge, guys. Yep. And it's my favorite time of year. Tennis goes on the clay, gets ready for Roland Garros. Hopefully Roth is back. But we got it. There's a new sheriff in town. His name is Carlos Alcaraz. Vamos!
Atomic Baby. All right, Harvey, always a pleasure, my friend. One of our big fans, Andy, says that you are morphing into Oscar Madison. I'm thinking, I don't know that that's a morph job. I think you always were kind of Oscar Madison.
Me.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I'm not just loudmouth New Yorker who's sloppy. Yeah, that's
perfect,
me, but also funny and
all right. Well, great job. I mean, I love the insight, especially into the Atomic Baby and Alcaraz kid. And I'm glad you were at that match. That was an electrifying tennis match, as good a sporting event as I've seen. That guy Kekmanovic was just absolutely monstrous, man. Right. And to lose, and I'll give you a good job by Jim Courier, because he was talking about how Kekmanovic has trouble closing out matches. And I mean, there was, barely, a thin razor line between success and failure in that match. But he came up on the short end, and he had ample opportunity to win that day. Wasn't he up like 5-3 in the final set tiebreaker, and then got mowed down?
The next
4
day,
points in a row. Yeah.
The next day, too, he's down 5-3 in the tiebreaker.
Same thing. Yeah.
Steve Curry I think, is the best analyst on the Tennis Channel. He's marvelous. He does it as it's happening. A lot of them.
Yeah, he's very good. Yeah.
That
was a good comment he made, and it just happened exactly as he had suggested, that this guy, is looking great, but all of a sudden, that one point, that turning point in a tie break or late in a set, and he's always caving in on that shot. All right, thanks, Harvey. A pleasure, my friend. Always great to have Harvey Fialkov on the show here. That was a dynamite tournament, the Miami Open. Absolutely brilliant. And, tennis, especially in these big events, always delivers. It's absolutely fantastic. We're going to borrow the line that they used to describe the NCAA tournament. All right, this is going to be great. Red Deer Randy Moeller, one of our favorites. And I would imagine, what do we do? Invite him right away to the dinner at Runway 84?
Oh, of course.
I hope he can make it.
Of course.
You know what happens if they win the Stanley Cup?
We dunk it. We dunk Mayo's head with it.
No, then it becomes loser leaves town, my friend.
Exactly.
Loser leaves town. We'll be picking up Mayo from Billings, Montana in the future. All right. We'll have Red Deer Randy Moeller and talk a little bit about just a phenomenal season so far for the Florida Panthers, and, of course, the rest of the NHL and how things stack up for the playoffs. And those are right around the corner. First team to clinch. And the fine color analyst and former Florida Panther, longtime former first-round draft pick, right? The great Red Deer Randy Moeller going to join us here in just a few minutes on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
8:32.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at Mark 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views. It's simply the hot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at Marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
You can't fake caring. Women can sense this immediately. You don't really care. You didn't really want to do any of this.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel, streaming audio and video around the universe here, and very big in foreign countries as well, Mike Lubitz. You'll be happy to know. Sure. Jack Namer tells us, hola, senoritas, all the people that are viewing this in Spain. I don't know how popular Red Deer Randy Moller is in Barcelona. Maybe not as popular as Rafael Nadal, but I believe we're going to welcome Randy Moller. He's looking around as if he can't hear us. Are you with us, Red Deer Randy Moller?
I'm with you. I'm with you, guys. Great to be on with you.
Oh, man, look
wow,
great.
You look great. I mean, this is fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. All right. Let's start with some ugliness here. Mike Mayo. I know you know Michael. He covered the Panthers for a while and was with the Sun Sentinel. And for some reason, then he became the food critic. And I don't know if it's his antacid isn't working, but he's become very cynical about local teams. I guess, there was a little problem there maybe with some of the things that he was writing about the club. Somebody in the executive offices took exception with. They called him in there. They got ugly. So he doesn't believe that the Panthers, and I find this inconceivable, Red Deer Randy Muller, will get out of the first round of the playoffs, something that hasn't happened since the 96-97 team, of course, went to the Stanley Cup Finals. It seems unfathomable to me that as well as this team has played, that they would drop a first-round playoff series. I don't know. First, I guess, give us your characterization of the season, because it's been spectacular. I mean, dynamite at home, wire to wire. I mean, just a quality representation. And of late, I mean, not only coming back from the grave against the Devils the other day, but then coming right back the next day and shutting a team out. They've really, really been good. How would you characterize the season?
Yeah, it's been magical this whole season. And guys, they've done it with injuries. I mean, Alexander Barkov missed, 5.5 weeks injury. And now the Panthers are rolling along without their best defenseman in Aaron Ekblad. They have a lot of depth. They got a lot of scoring. Put this in perspective. The Panthers are 28-6 on home ice, and 26 of the 34 home games, the Panthers have scored 4 or more goals. 15 of those, they've scored 5 or more goals.
Wow.
So obviously it's based around the offense. The Panthers have so many players that are having career years offensively, and it's fun to watch and fun to broadcast these games. I mean, they're just wild. And the crowd at home at the FLA Live Arena, they're into the game. They expect the goals, the intensity, and the atmosphere is like a party every night, and no different tonight when the Toronto Maple Leafs come to town.
Oh, this is great, Red Deer, and I don't mean to insult any of our Canadian friends here. Of course, your origins. But, after the Toronto game, all of those people from Toronto, which is not as heavy as Montreal, when they lost at the Florida Live Arena last week? Did you see that? All you saw was Je me souviens heading north. Right after the game, everybody went back to Montreal there. Yeah, we're here for the summer. Okay, great. So hopefully there'll be another big win over the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Now, early in the season, these guys were cardiac kids. Yeah. And it was spectacular because, the last few minutes of a hockey game, especially when a team's down like one goal, and the other, they've pulled a goalie there, so they're vulnerable there if the other team gets the puck. And they would just put immense pressure on everybody. And they pulled a lot of games out of their ass early in the season. And that was great. And that was all part of that big home record.
Yeah, it is. And that just shows the offensive prowess that this team has on a nightly basis. They just have so many weapons. And when you've got, 2 possibly 30 goal scorers playing on the third line, that just shows the depth that you have. And I just love the way they play. It's the up tempo, the speed of the game. Everything's about speed and offense in the NHL right now. And the Panthers have hit it out of the ballpark so far this season because of that. And when you add in You know, they're getting great goaltending as well. Sergei Bobrovsky's coming in. He's won 7 straight. He's 23-3-1 in his last 27 games. I mean,
wow.
It's amazing. So
Mayo thinks he's going to fall apart in the playoffs. All of a sudden, he's going to go blind or something.
Well, I'll get back to your original question about in the first round. In the Eastern Conference, there's going to be 4 teams. Obviously, 8 teams make the playoffs. There's going to be 4 teams that have had phenomenal years that are going to be out in the first round. That's how competitive it is.
Wow.
And the Panthers, with 102 points, with 14 games remaining, they still, they're only 7 points up from the Toronto Maple Leafs for first in the Atlantic Division. Well, I've never seen this before, where they could possibly go down to the last week of the season with 114 points and still not clinch the division. But I can tell you, the Panthers, they want that home ice advantage. They want to win the division. They'd love to win the conference. They're battling Carolina as well for the conference because they get home ice advantage. Let me go back. The Panthers are 28-6 on home ice. So they want that home ice advantage in the first and the second round of the playoffs for sure.
Well, and Muller, man, and we're talking with the one and only Red Deer Randy Muller with Valley Sports Florida, analyst, also with the Panthers, been with them a long time. And the guy we love to go to when we talk Panthers. What's interesting about this team is they're more offensively inclined, which they haven't always been, but they feel tougher, right? Like at the end of these games, a lot of the time in the shootouts, you would just sort of, well, that one's a loss. Like this team is never out of it. And that's something that we haven't seen in years past. And look, we say this a lot in basketball, like a young team has to go up against the giant to learn something. And it feels like they learned a lot from that Lightning series. As much as they went defeat, the Lightning said, even after they won the cup, the toughest series they had all playoffs was the Panthers. So that's the kind of thing it feels like. That's sort of why I'm not as concerned. It's not that the Bruins or the Capitals aren't good. It's that this team just plays with a different kind of oomph than we've seen in the years past.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the experience now. You look now at Barkov. Huberdeau's in his 10th year.
Yeah.
Barkov's 9th year. Ekblad, 7th year. It goes on. These guys now have the experience. And, the general manager, Bill Zito, realized that these players are not young anymore and they're not old. They're in the prime of their career. And that's the reason why they brought in these players, because they're going for it this year. This is the year right now, the best opportunity for the Panthers to go deep and possibly challenge for the Stanley Cup. So many years before, guys, you remember the Panthers towards the trade deadline, they're trading players to acquire picks and future considerations. That's all gone. The fans, including myself, don't want to hear about draft picks anymore. This is the team. They have enough depth. The cupboards are not bare as far as players coming that are playing in the American Hockey League and the drafted players that are playing in college and junior hockey. But they've given up their first round draft pick for the next couple of years. And the reason they're doing that is because they're all in right now. Guys like Reinhart that they gave up first round draft pick. Look what he's done this year, the season that he's had. There's so many. They could possibly have 17 players on this hockey club that will have career years. That's how phenomenal it is. And it seems like every night, we talk about Huberdeau and leads the NHL in assists, and he's just shattering team franchise records and an NHL record for the most points in a single season, assists in a single season for a left winger. This is the highest scoring team in the NHL, guys, over the last 25 years. That's saying a lot.
Nice. Wow.
I keep thinking, holy Marcel Dion, man. This Huberdeau is to passing the puck what John Stockton was to passing a basketball, or Magic Johnson. He really is magical out there. And it's interesting. It's hard to believe, Randy, and we're talking with Red Deer Randy Moeller of the broadcast team with the Florida Panthers, and does virtually everything else as well. I think, aren't you also like the food manager and food and beverage?
Backup Zamboni driver.
Yeah, I mean, you do it all there with the Panthers, and a fantastic job. But great with Steve Goldstein on the telecast, the broadcast of the game. But this guy, it really is magical, Huberdeau, in terms of passing the puck. I mean, you would have to say, and hard to believe that he's been with the club 10 years, because I remember when Goldie and I would have him on the show when we were doing the radio show together, and he's like, I think I can get Jonathan Huberdeau. And we're like, okay, maybe not the most compelling speaker, but, even that area, he has vastly improved. And it's hard to believe that was 10 years ago that he came into the league. Yeah.
And Defo, I like to tell the story. I tell it quite a bit. Remember a few years ago, it was 4 years ago now, that Jonathan Huberdeau tore his Achilles tendon in his leg. Before that, we all knew, and everybody knew, that he was a good player, but the consistency really wasn't there night in, night out. And I give him full marks. He went after that injury and really worked on his lower body, his legs, his trunk, everything, to have the strength and the balance and to be able to protect that puck. Well, what has happened since then? Jonathan Huberdeau has 354 points in 306 games since he came back from that injury. It's all on Jonathan Huberdeau and the maturity that he shows, the confidence, because he has that strength to hang on to the puck, and his vision of seeing the players around him and to set them up and to be able to have that strength to hang on to that puck for just an extra second to allow his line mate to get into that perfect shooting position or to receive that pass in order to go in and score a goal. I've been around this game a long time. There's only a few players. Wayne Gretzky's obviously one of them, Mario Lemieux, that have that ability to pass that puck like that. So, again, Jonathan Huberdeau, with the accolades that he's gaining, and rightfully so this season, he's just one of so many players. I mean, Alexander Barkov's going in. I mean, he's got a 6-game point streak. Jonathan Huberdeau has got an 8-game point streak. Huberdeau has he's got points in 23 of the last 24 games. Wow. There's no player in the NHL that's even close to that. So it's just fun, guys. It's such a fun atmosphere. And, when I do my preparation, like tonight, they're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, and yesterday is just making some of my notes, getting ready for the game. All the stats, just it's phenomenal. It'd be like an NFL team that is 15-0, and you're preparing for that next Sunday. Well, obviously everything's positive in the stats and that's just what makes it fun. But I can tell you, and you guys know, I've been on with you many, many times, that it wasn't too long ago where, oh boy, you'd have me on and Red here we go. You lost 5 of the last 6, and you've given up 6+ goals in 4 of the last 6. I'm just so glad that those days are over. And I'm most happy for is the fans. The fans that have stuck. The Panthers have great fans. The crowds have been incredible at their home arena. And I'm just so happy for them. They're enjoying the success. And like I said just a couple of minutes ago, it's a party atmosphere. Every game, these fans show up and they expect that the Panthers are going to score 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8 goals. And more times than not, they do.
No, it's great. And, the crowd might, improve by 2 more. Well, Lubie, to this point in the interview, Randy has refrained from schnorring for tickets for the playoff games yet. So believe me, that's coming at some point. I mean, I don't know if it'll happen on the show, but it's a little embarrassing.
Lubie, you make me cough. You make me cough.
And he'll ask you for like 6 tickets too. Hey, you got to take my little cousin. It's like, get the bleep out of here with that.
Those days are long gone. Those days are long gone.
Freebies are probably
with all this success. All the success that the Panthers have had so far, and they got 14 games left in the regular season, comes expectations now. I mean, if for some reason things don't go well and they get bounced out in the first round, it's going to leave a sour taste in a lot of mouths, and that. But they're going about their business. They continue to win games, different offensive heroes every night. How about the defense? the defense of the Florida Panthers, even now without Aaron Ekblad. Here's another stat that I like throwing out. There's only one team, and it's the Colorado Avalanche, that have produced more points from defensemen so far this season than the Florida Panthers. And so when you've got that 5-man attack where the defense are joining the rush, being active in the offensive zone, another option for Huberdeau or whoever to pass to, the defenseman coming in on the right or the left side. Wow, it is almost impossible to stop defensively. And the Panthers have got that attack mentality that has carried them through the whole season.
A few years ago, I mean, this guy was must-see TV if he was on with the Philadelphia Flyers, Claude Giroux. And the Panthers make that acquisition, and I don't know. I haven't seen Giroux recently because Philadelphia's been a bad team. But where does he fit in, and where is he at this point in his career, and how do you see his talents being used by the Florida Panthers?
Wow, this is just another aspect where the Panthers are all in. You know, they gave up a pretty good package to get Claude Giroux. There's a number of reasons why. Number one is, I'll start with this. When you have guys like Anthony Duclair, you've got Reinhart, you've got Joe Thornton, and others, this has become a destination. Players around the league, it's almost like, you know, when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay or whatever, everybody's like calling their agent going, get me to Tampa Bay. I want to play for Tampa Bay or whatever. It's become a destination because of the potential and the talent base that they have here. So let's go to Claude Giroux. He's one of the best face-off men. He's number 2 in the NHL in face-off wins. And you guys all know, you're hockey fans and you're knowledgeable. When you've got a guy that can win those draws, first thing that happens is you've got puck possession. You possess the puck. And what happens when the Panthers possess the puck, especially in the offensive zone? Scoring chances after scoring chances. He wants to win. He's never won a Stanley Cup. He's been close. He lost to Chicago a few years ago in the finals. He knows he's in the twilight of his career. He wants to win a Stanley Cup. That's the reason why he only waived his no-trade contract to come to Florida, because he didn't want to go to anywhere else. He wanted to come to Florida. They worked out the deal. His experience, and I don't know if I've been around a player, guys, and I remember so many games I'm between the benches, and I'm so close to the players and watch and listen and that. And every time the Panthers would play against the Flyers, I'd watch Giroux and his demeanor coming back to the bench or whatever. He's all business. All he wants to do is win, and he has fit in like a glove on the Florida Panthers since being acquired. He hasn't scored yet, but he's got 7 assists in 7 games, and his leadership and the way that he is blended in with the leadership of the Panthers, it's been perfect so far.
I used to love watching that guy play. I mean, he was spectacular with the Flyers.
He's a point a game. A game. He gets a point every game.
Yeah, no, great stuff. Red Deer Randy Moeller of the Panthers broadcast team with us here on the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. All right, where do they stack up? I mean, they've been the best for most of the season. You mentioned the Colorado Avalanche, kind of been in a dogfight. Most of the analysis that I read about the National Hockey League, Randy, says that, well, Colorado is the team to beat. Yeah, you're talking about a lot of parity at the top level and all the way down through the playoffs, and you know, all of the teams in the Eastern Conference in there with a shot. I mean, obviously, you know, we're a little fearful of having to pick up a tab at Runway 84 with Mayo, you know, ordering everything on the menu if you have to face Ovechkin, who you know is a brilliant scorer, and I mean, the Boston Bruins, from what I can gather, are a pretty tough team, and they're there at the bottom. So. What do you think? I mean, is there any chance that we're going to have to take out a quit claim deed on the townhouse in order to cover this wager? You know, because I can't conceive of it. The season this team has had, if they got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, I absolutely would be as flabbergasted by any circumstance as I've ever witnessed in sports. And you know I'm a degenerate gambler. I've seen everything. I've seen my horse on the lead jump the rail at Gulfstream and end up in the lake. Right? When I needed get out money, you know, so anything can happen, obviously, but it really seems impossible to conceive that with the move like getting Giroux and all the chemistry they had all year in a high scoring offense and Bobrovsky back on his game, I can't see them not contending for the cup this year.
Well, as I said, earlier when we were chatting about this, there's so much talent and great teams in the Eastern Conference. Okay, so let's pick it apart. Any team, if the Panthers end up playing, let's start with Washington Capitals. Any team with Alex Ovechkin on the team is going to be dangerous. And I like to say it's not going to be a church picnic. It's not going to be just a rollover. The Pittsburgh Penguins, any team that's got Sidney Crosby and Letang and Evgeny Malkin are going to be dangerous. The Boston Bruins, they continue to win. And that number one line with Bergeron and Marchand, they continue to score goals and to win games. I think that there's small little flaws in their team, deficiencies that maybe the Panthers can take advantage of. But the point I'm trying to make is there's no Hartford Whalers that you're playing in the first round that you're going to win straight. It just doesn't exist, and it's going to be tough. And like I said, there's going to be 4 teams in the Eastern Conference that are going to be out in the first round that have had close to 100-point seasons. Jesus. And that's going to be very disappointing to their fans and obviously to the teams.
How good is Colorado, in your opinion?
Very good. Very good. There's no weakness on the Colorado Avalanche. And besides the Florida Panthers, they're the fastest team in the NHL. And I'm going to throw in, I'll get back to Colorado in a second, the Carolina Hurricanes play a very similar up-tempo speed game with lots of offensive weapons. I'm not quite sure if I'm sold on their goaltending right now, and we all know goaltending wins. Just ask the Tampa Bay Lightning and Vasilevsky. That's the only reason the Panthers did not win that series against Tampa Bay last year was Vasilevsky, their goaltender. Their goaltending was better than ours and better than the Panthers, and that's the reason why. So Colorado, Carolina, and the Panthers are the fastest teams in the NHL. Again, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they just went in last night and beat the defending Stanley Cup champions, 6-2. Austin Matthews is up to 54 goals. I don't think I want to play the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round, especially they're pretty tough on home ice. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be very competitive, and I love it. I think it makes for great playoff intensity hockey, and that's what everybody likes to see. It's the greatest game in the world, and everybody knows that everybody talks about the playoffs. Oh, did you see that game? Look at the series that the Panthers had with Tampa Bay last year.
That was great.
It was a war. All 6 games were amazing. The intensity, the physicality in that. I can't wait, but we still got 14 games to go. I wish the playoffs would start tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, all of a sudden, I feel the ice might be a little bit thinner. And I was ready to have Mike Mayo Baker acted for, making this wager in the first place. I mean, you know when a guy's just walking into a losing situation, having bet many of those straight superfectas at the dog races during your lifetime, Red Deer.
Well, maybe Michael Mayo, maybe he just had a bad tiramisu or something at one of his restaurants.
He's eating like he's going to the chair, Red Deer. I mean, he really is. I keep encouraging
I love Michael. He's great. I run into him every once in a while, and that it's always great to catch up and that the history of the coverage of the Florida Panthers and that. But I'm most happy for the fans. They've enjoyed the ride so far, but I know they're looking great regular season, but it's going to be in the playoffs that's going to count.
It's great too, Red Deer, with this run of the Panthers now, and once they've clinched a playoff spot, first team to do that, and once they're in the postseason, everybody will be a hockey expert again.
Oh yeah, for sure,
right? And telling, hey, what are you kidding me? You can't throw that guy out there in this situation. It's like having not seen a game all year, and guys like us will join right in.
Well, that's what makes it fun. Everybody, you wouldn't be making comments like that. Oh, he should have played this goaltender. He should have played this guy. Whatever. If you weren't interested in it and you weren't invested in it, and that's what makes it fun. I mean, social media right now is so much fun in Pantherland, and the way the fans are interacting and that kind of stuff. It's great. I love seeing it. And I see these fans on a daily basis, and they're just so excited the way this team has been built, and built very quickly.
All right. Well, we'll tune in tonight. We'll watch you. Say hello to our buddy Steve Goldstein. Of course, does a fine job on the play-by-play. Red Deer, it's a pleasure watching you doing these games. It's been fantastic, and it's a lot of fun tuning in as every time you turn on the TV, the Panthers, in most of these situations, are winning.
Yeah,
And winning substantially. So it's been terrific. And hopefully we'll be dining. The muscles are free at Runway 84. and that's all Mayo intends to order for anybody that he's having to buy dinner for that night. But I believe it's going to happen. And we thank you for all of the insight. It's always a pleasure, my friend. And you look great, by the way.
Oh, well, thanks, guys. Thank you very much for having me on. And I'll jump on again before we get going with the playoffs, and we'll do a little preview of who's going to be on in the first round.
Oh, and expect a text from Lubie sometime soon. Reflecting
I think I lost his
massive
number.
amounts. Tell him to lose your number right here on the air. Just lose
All right.
number, Lubie. All right.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Great stuff, Red Deer. Randy Moeller, ladies and gentlemen, one of the all-time classics, man. When he was doing the games on the radio, I mean, he became a cult hero, and now on TV, doing a magnificent job teaming up with our former partner on the radio and, longtime announcer now with the Panthers. Wow, he's had the job a long time, Steve Goldstein. Anyway, it's a great story. It's happening here in our town. It is amazing, as you said earlier, with the baseball season about to open up, that there's not a peep about the Miami Marlins and what's happening there. Jeter left the team, and, there was kind of was there not an awkward feeling while Derek Jeter was running the show here? Did you not feel that, Mike Lubitz? There was a certain awkward feeling.
I mean,
about being around the club.
Was weird. I mean, outside of that, I had no problems. They actually were cooler with me than they'd ever been. The last year, things got weird. Like for a while there, they were doing whatever I wanted, and then the last
little strange. Yeah,
I wasn't hearing from them, and it was like, okay, I don't know what's going on.
They tried a few things, but not exciting enough to make you think like they're going to be a contender. And I don't know. I'm going to check. I meant to do this before the show, but I never got around to it. Check the over/under number total for the season, and I don't know where we go with the campaign this year. I guess we've been getting buried on that thing. We won it one time out of three with the Deal Volkswagen run for. It was a run for 71 last year, drive for 75. Yep. We've had all kinds of different campaigns going there, and the only year we won it was in the COVID year.
Yep.
Where it became like the drive for 25, and they easily eclipsed that. I mean, they went on a phenomenal run there and made the postseason and actually won a series over the Chicago Cubs, which was pretty incredible. I mean, it was something that wasn't happening anywhere but with the Miami Heat. Playoffs?
Yeah.
I mean, we were really, in just, dire straits when it came to that. And, ended up now having two excellent teams in the winter sports, including the Panthers, who wow, Red Deer got me a little nervous there, huh? You know what? I really was thinking about having Mayo Baker acted. Thought he was crazy that the Panthers wouldn't get out of the first round, but you know how it is, right? When a thing looks too easy, that's why they call it gambling, as the professor says, and not winning. Yes. All right, I thought it was a winner today. Tomorrow we talk with a genuine winner. John Kajemia join us on the show. Our Believe podcast today on BLEAV Network will feature Iron Eagle. Yep. In a conversation we're about to have in a few minutes here with Iron Eagle, so you can catch that. Iron's always brilliant and has a lot of fun with us, so can't wait to talk to Iron Eagle later on today. And, wow, it's too bad he couldn't do the video thing because we could have popped it in the show tomorrow, and you guys could have had a chance to enjoy one of the really, really brilliant minds in all of broadcasting, and that is the great Iron Eagle. All right, we will see you tomorrow at 7. John Kajemi joins us in what would have been Tony Segretto's spot. Tony was with us on Monday. Thursday, we have the Trivia Challenge. And Friday, another Degenerate Friday, which could include a surprise guest. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I don't count on anyone anymore.
You think he was fabricating a story there? I don't want to say lying about having this stuff. All right, we'll see you tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow at 7 as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:02.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.